Stay tuned for the biggest fish, the hottest bites, this week here on In-Depth Outdoors.
Got it.
Look at that. Wow, is that an incredible fish?
Got him. All right. Oh yeah. Quality Green Bay fish here.
We're headed to the best fisheries across the upper Midwest and Canada. We'll fish longer, explore unfished bodies of water, and go further off the beaten path in search of the hottest bites in fresh water.
Look at that. What a specimen.
Here he comes, man. Get him.
What a fish.
This is In-Depth Outdoors.
Good morning, everyone. James Holst here with In-Depth Outdoors. It's the second week of February. It's at sunrise, and we're out in Webster, South Dakota. Today we're going to be fishing with good buddy Quentin Bierman. And the topic of today's show is one of my favorite species and one of my favorite ways to fish. We're going to be out here targeting shallow water bluegills and doing it sight fishing. There really is no better way to approach this great species than to do it with your eyes. Now, Webster, South Dakota is known for a lot of great fishing. Usually it's perch and walleyes, but to be honest with you, there's a great bluegill bite out here as well. So if you love to catch big gills, this is a great place to do it. So do stick around. I think you're going to enjoy today's show.
Oh, there we go. Oh, he flew up like that. See that mark?
Yes, I do.
There's a couple of them down there now, James.
I only want one. Woo. That's a beautiful sound. Nice.
Little gill.
God, look at the graph on that mark. I'm just
glowed up red. Hit that red pug bug. We had talked about plastics, and I tried some bait.
No point in both of us fishing the same thing.
Exactly.
That's a nice fish. Good way to start, huh?
Yeah. Nice bluegill.
Did you cream it pretty good?
Yeah, he came up and swallowed it.
I never saw those fish. Later, buddy. Watch out for the pike.
There's more down there. There should be. There was like, see, there they were. There was like 3-4 fish.
Yeah.
There was a race. Who can get there first?
Well, I've got the camera aimed this way. I can probably cover about halfway between our holes. I've only got to turn the camera just a little bit to see your hole. So they were over on this side. Never saw them over here. It's one of the things I love about fishing with cameras like this. So, whether you do it visually or with a Markham underwater camera, it really tells you a lot about how the fish are relating to the structure. We've got some heavier patch of weeds just off to our left, and we're just off to the side of it. And a lot of times these weeds will grow so high, these bluegills won't swim over the weeds, they'll swim around it. So we're kind of using it as a funnel. And that time they swung a little bit too wide for me to get bit or even see them.
There was definitely 2-3 of them down there came racing up. Who could get there first?
Oh, he's eyeballing. Yep, got him. Got him on the palm rod. I guess it doesn't actually qualify as a true palm rod, but this is a palm-sized bluegill. Nice guy.
That's the kind we're looking for.
Absolutely. Right down in there, in amongst the weeds.
You switched to bait or still plastic?
I've got that glow pink pug bug, and I loaded her up with 4 or 5 spikes. Mm-hmm.
Great color on that fish.
It's been just a steady decline in temperatures. We've been deeper and deeper to the cold front. I mean, late last week we were, decent temps, miles, kinda. And of course, everything's relative this year. This morning we woke up and it was almost 20 below zero. So these fish have kind of been more and more lethargic each day, I think. So I figured some live bait was gonna make sense, but that's a nice fish, man.
That's a nice bluegill.
I'll take those all day long. All right, I'm gonna let him go. See you later, sweetheart. That's a nice fish. Down it goes. That one just showed up. Ship, boom, just nothing to it. Yep.
I had one down there, came up and nosed right when you set the hook over there. Little groups of them swimming through. Earlier we've seen some pike swimming around, so I think they're keeping the sunfish in check too, and that's why they're hugging close to these weeds too.
Hiding. We're just starting to see more and more fish come in now. But something that, we've got to stress. When you do this, you come out in the shallow water, you drill your holes, you set up your shack, there's lots moving around, you're crunching ice, the fish leave. So when we first dropped down on the spot, we found what we wanted as far as weeds in the area. We're right next to this big weed clump. We know there's fish cruising this area, but don't expect to just drop on fish most days. You got to wait for those fish to come back after everything quiets out. If you punch any more holes, and then of course they'll scatter again, they'll leave.
There we go.
Ooh, come on, that's a nice fish.
Well, sucked it right in. You said you wonder sometimes if they don't just grab the head of that jig instead of the business end. So.
Not as big as your last one.
Not as big. Still fun. It's always something different for me, like we talked earlier with the perch and the walleyes is what I get caught up in most of the winter. And there's crappie fishing here, and you do some pike chasing a little bit, but the bluegills, you just don't do it as much, but it's always fun to get back and do it.
Markham Technologies introduces ice fishing to the digital age with the LX digital sonar system. Boasting vivid color LCD displays and features not found on other ice electronics, all digital units offer a user-defined display tailored to match the way you fish. An on-screen dashboard that puts critical information at your fingertips, and free firmware updates that guarantee your electronics are never outdated. This winter, step into the digital age with an LX Series digital sonar unit from Markham Technologies.
Man, these fish do not hardly want any movement at all to these jigs. And I moved it, and he said, I'm out of here. He'll come back. We'll catch him yet. Out here in the Webster area, as we talked, everything's kind of focused on the perch, the walleyes. The pike do get some attention. Seasonally, the white bass will draw people out here to fish. The bluegills just don't get much press. And a lot of these lakes have shallow, weedy bays. And of course, you're gonna have it full of bluegills. I mean, if the habitat's right, a lot of these lakes are interconnected, so if one lake has them, eventually the way these lakes kind of all interconnect and sprawl, if one body of water has bluegills, eventually they all do. And that's kind of the situation where the lakes that have good, clean, green weeds, they've got a good population of nice bluegills, and they're just not getting a lot of pressure. On this lake that we're fishing here today, there's definitely some people out here fishing them, and the spear fishermen are out here, working on the pike, so this is certainly not an unknown body of water here, but throughout the Webster area, I know you can vouch for this, there's little pockets where the bluegill fishing is fantastic, and it's like the last thing on anybody's mind.
Yeah, and most guys run into them by accident, and they're plus size bluegill.
Yeah.
Guys are catching them on walleye tackle.
Waited for the double clutch. They're all nice fish. Not a giant, but I'll take him. Come on, sweetheart. I gotta let people know what we're talking about when we talk about the double clutch, because bluegills are famous for that, and I'm sure everybody noticed there I didn't set the hook right away, and there's a reason. I'll let that guy go. Just a beautiful, beautiful bluegill. Not a giant, but anybody be happy with that fish.
Oh, I got one too.
A double. What you got?
Mine's not as big as yours, but I got caught watching the paint dry.
You know what works for Joel and I? I'm gonna do this. No. Throw them in your hole, and I don't know why. It makes a fish bite.
Oh.
I think eventually I might keep a few of these. I haven't eaten bluegill in so long.
Yeah. You couldn't ask for a better tasting fish.
Something I need to talk more about. After that last fish there, I mentioned the double clutch, and it's something that when you've done a lot of fishing for bluegill using the underwater camera, you see it all the time. But if you've never done that, you really don't know what we're talking about and why it's so important to hooking these fish up successfully. And what happens is a bluegill very often will come up behind one of these baits and he'll clutch just the end of your bait. He'll just grab the tail and he's tasting it, he's testing it. And if you set the hook, then obviously what happens is that it just goes flying up into the water column, bluegill gets spooked and he swims away. So what we're doing is a lot of times when they're not super aggressive, they clutch on the end of the tail, whether it be plastic or live bait, and you just wait for them to double clutch, and they'll work their way up the bait if they like that first little taste. And that's the difference between hooking up a very small percentage of the bluegills that bite and really catching almost every fish that hits your bait. So you'll see your rod tip, it'll drop once, wait. It's really hard to learn to do. You got to trust that that fish is going to hit it again. You'll drop it once and then you'll see it go down a little bit further. That's when you set the hook, and that's one of the keys to maximizing your hooking percentage when catching bluegills on a tough bite. Get him. You're a predator. You're an animal.
There we go.
Oh!
There's one.
You know, every time you reel up a fish, it kind of wigs me out because you're one of those lefties.
Yeah, I switch hands and play.
They're all nice fish. I mean, we have not caught one small fish today.
And I actually was using wax worms. I kind of switched over, loaded up with spikes on the red pug bug and the red spikes, and that one didn't mess around.
No.
A couple that come in just want to eat. No questions asked. So it's a nice bluegill. I'll take that. Get him back in the water. See you later.
You know, you and I are cursed as fishermen when it comes to catching bluegills. You know,
got
you
big
were an
calls.
offensive lineman. I'm 6'4", and you know, we make just about any bluegill look kind of small. And that was a nice fish you had
Big
there.
tall guy and big hands. You hold them sunfish. It's deceiving, but these are nice bluegills we're getting into.
Craftsmanship and precision are just words until you add driving passion and a knowledge of what defines rod building excellence. Tuned up custom rods are built with a perfect blend of rod balance and action, a truly custom experience achieved only with the highest quality materials, from the handle to the last guide and every thread wrap in between. It's these components, along with an attention to detail, that makes our custom ice rods a tuned up custom.
You know, this is where these little short rods just excel. Whether you're fishing them outside or in a house, this is a maestro. And what I love about it is it's so comfortable when you're trying to sight fish bluegills. And I've got the camera down there so I can, you know, lean back in the chair and see what's going on there. But if you don't have a camera available, if you're looking to do some sight fishing, obviously you're going to be looking down the hole. And if you got a long rod, what that forces you to do is either hold it way back so the tip is out here, or you're going to get real uncomfortable, get down on your knees in a hole that's farther away from your seat. But this little short rod, the way it sits right here, put my elbow on my knee, I can look right down the hole, I can see that pink glow pug bug down there, and all I'm waiting to happen is just for that white to disappear. And you know, when I'm sight fishing like this, I like to use light colored jig heads. You'll rarely see the bluegills. If you do, you'll just silhouette them. But that's okay. All you need to see, or not see in this case, is that light colored jig head just disappear. That's when you set the hook. Oh, and in my demonstration there, I just pulled my jig away from a bluegill that was going to do the demonstration for me. Oh!
They're biting so soft today.
Yes, they are. Well, you know, 15, 20 below zero to start the day. It's amazing that they bite at all. Better check my bait. Right now we're riding in between that double clutch and triple clutch. You know, they're
I pulled it away, got greedy. It's so hard when you get that first little nick to just set the hook, and you almost got to discipline yourself on tough days. And we've seen that with crappies, we've seen it with perch, and even with walleye. And you know, at that point, if you're missing fish, you got nothing to lose. You might as well hang on a little bit and see if they're going to suck it all the way in.
Yeah, as you're seeing this rod that I'm fishing here, this little maestro, I've got a fly reel on it. Fishing, we're in 6 feet. Whoa!
There's one.
Love the sound of that.
I got patient on that one, like I just said. Ones before that, I was kind of jumping the gun, but
I find that
nice.
following one's own advice is a really good game plan.
Exactly. Nice little bluegill. I got all red spikes on there, and I caught a couple little white ones, but a lot of the main forage out here, they're little, you know, I don't know all the different bugs and worms, but they seem to have a red tinge to them, and the shrimp have a, you know, dark brown or a dark red to them. The freshwater shrimp that are in a lot of these lakes, and that's why we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
These fish get chunky. You know, they stay healthy and thick eating all them shrimp swimming around down there. So,
you know, I've been on some great bites out here. Walleye, perch, fishing with you, fishing with Cal. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to wearing myself out catching a bunch of these bluegills today. I mean, this Webster area's got something for just about everybody.
yeah. And like we said earlier, you know, if you want to get up, do walleyes earlier in the day, do perch.
Yeah.
Come do
Smaller
some
than the one that you had there, but not bad.
Sunfish offer you something to do during the middle of the day, pass the time before you're going to go set up and do that evening walleye thing.
Well, it doesn't get any easier than this, man. Make one quick move, you know, check one spot, and not a lot going on there. Make one quick move, drop on them. Sitting here with the heat on, all we need is a radio.
Couldn't ask for anything more.
Oh, here he comes. He's gonna eat it. Yep, got him. Ooh, badoom. 3 times around the transducer cord. That seems to be about the norm. Man, kind of eyeballed it twice, and then when he decided to hit, man, he was on it.
Didn't mess around.
I got another one down there. Here's one for your hole. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, there's some mojo in that. I don't know why. Oh! What, no ringing the bell?
No ringing the bell this time. You can see that one has got the bait. There's nothing left. He sucked the whole thing in.
That's called committed.
He's got the whole pug bug inhaled into his mouth. So I'm gonna get that out for him. There you go, little guy. Back in. I'm just saying to James, I always check every time I catch a fish or I rebait. The line hangs on that jig. That jig's kind of at a 45-degree angle. You almost got to take your knot and slide it all the way back over, so it's almost facing your hook, and you get that perfect horizontal hang, which obviously we all love for panfish, perch, crappies, sunfish. When you can see your knot slides all the way over, how you're doing this, and sometimes small little details for big bluegills make a huge difference. So.
That's what bluegill fishing's all about, details.
Yep.
Line diameter, line visibility, color of jig. I mean, you were fishing that glow red, and I was fishing basically a pink, and just to see the difference in that,
Yep.
Everything's about tiny little minutia.
This winter, VMC takes ice fishing by storm with the release of 5 new jigs and 4 new spoons. Based on innovative fish catching designs, VMC spoons and jigs come in an array of ultra glow colors and realistic natural patterns you need to be successful out on the ice. Forged from top quality materials, all VMC jigs feature a 90-degree hook eye and VMC's unique power gap designed to greatly increase hooking percentage. Find VMC's line of ice tackle at all quality sporting goods stores and online at vmchooks.com.
For an angler that isn't used to doing a lot of this, it could be your first time trying to get in on a shallow water bluegill bite, using a camera or just looking down the hole in clear water conditions. Midwinter like this, I think to kind of narrow things down, where should you be looking? I'm looking for outside weed line edges. And so what that means is, as you're shallower in the bays, you're going to have dense, thick weeds. Not a lot of it's going to be green and healthy anymore, particularly in a year like this when you got real thick snow cover. So you're going to head a little bit deeper. You're going to punch holes, drop that camera down, or you can even look if it's real clear conditions, and you're going to look down and see if you're still over the top of thick weeds, and keep punching deeper until you get to that edge where things transition out, where the weeds kind of stop or they get real sparse, and you'll get out over sand like we have here today, or out over mud, kind of a silty bottom. Back up a little bit. Get up tight to that weed line, and that's that travel route. It's a real natural route where these big bluegills midday will just kind of swim along the edge of that weed line looking for food, and of course that's going to put a lot of fish in the right place for you to catch them with the jigs you're fishing. So just generally speaking, midwinter, find that outside weed line near deep water. You're going to be in the right place and catch a lot of fish.
There we go. Oh, tangled up in a little cabbage.
That's how we know we're in the good stuff.
Pretty fish, pink and purples across the sides. I think we had talked earlier, we had a small move just to get a little bit closer to some good green weeds these fish are using for cover, and no doubt I'm sure the bugs are coming off the weeds for food. So
these fish are very lucky that we're not in the fish cleaning mood, because we could have had just a beautiful mess so far today.
Like I said, I got pretty big paws. That's a nice bluegill anywhere you go. Okay, see you later, bud. Like you were saying, James, here we are, first, second week of February here with these, sunfish in this, shallow water, somewhat edge of the weed lines. And, as time goes on here, you look ahead and March is right around the corner, laid ice, guys get excited to get out fishing. I look, I'm thinking I'm going to look back to this region, but also, like you had said, back farther deeper into those weeds. And, old dead weeds are even good then, and, into that 4 or 5 foot range. In the same place that you found those crappies and sunfish back, in this year, late November, early December, is the first place I'm going to come look, early to mid-March when that ice starts melting away. So,
yeah, about the time that you start getting water run back down the holes, that seems to be the move, the push that brings the fish back into that real shallow, portions of the bay around even like you said, like the dead weeds.
Yeah.
They become, fishable again. Man, this one is hot. There he is. That's a bigger fish. Oh yeah.
A little heavier guy?
Yeah, you see him coming up the hole. Nice. Biggest fish of the day, by far, no question about it. That's a toad. I dig it. Big, big fish. You know, South Dakota, lots of water, not a lot of pressure. You know, we're not fishing out here alone by any means.
Yeah.
But you take away just a little bit of that pressure and you make, you know, some of these meandering bodies of water a little bit hard to access in some places. And of course, we drove the truck out here. That's the first time I've done that all winter.
Yeah.
My point being, a lot of water, a lot of structure, not a lot of pressure. It makes for big fish.
It's a great fish.
Wow.
It's a chunky bluegill.
That's my biggest bluegill of the winter.
It's a nice fish.
Look at it like that. Boom. Lots of bluegill there. I'll take those all day. Of course, we know better. I don't know very many places you go to catch nothing but bluegills like that, but I'm gonna let them go. See you later, sweetheart. Bye-bye. We found a simple recipe and we're not about to change it.
Very
Pink
comfortable.
glow pug bug and a wad of red spikes. Euro larva, whatever you want to call them. That is some very effective medicine when it comes to catching bluegills. I don't care where you fish. You know, a lot of times we fish plastics. Today, on this cold front like this, got to change tactics a little bit, slow down, give them some meat. That's all it takes to put these fish on the ice. In shallow water like this, being able to eyeball those fish using the camera, to me, that's about as much fun as you can have when you're ice fishing. Well, I don't know what you think, Quentin. I've had enough. I've caught enough bluegills today, and I'm ready to get on down the road. And I've got to say that of all the ways we could have spent a day hiding from yet another frigid deep freeze, this was a pretty enjoyable way to do it.
I agree with you. Always fun when you can sit inside and catch good fish.
You know, for anybody that wants to deal with one of these cold snaps that just never seem to end, really all you need is a good bluegill lake with good water clarity. Even if you don't have an underwater camera, I mean, that's the ideal tool in my opinion, but good water clarity, stick to the shallow bays, you'll be able to sight fish these fish. Just remember, keep all the light out of your ice house. That'll allow you to see right down in the water and see what those fish are doing. And really, there's just no way to have more fun catching bluegills in my opinion. So I want to thank you for, you know, having us out and sharing this bite with us. It was a heck of a good time.
It was a great time. I had a good time.
You know, for anybody that wants more information on fishing in general, but these bluegills specifically out here in the Webster area, give Sportsman's Cove in Webster, South Dakota a call. They'll point you in the right direction. So now as far as next week, earlier today, I said that no matter what, I was going to find a way to fish in warm weather. And I have no idea what Mother Nature's bringing our way, but I don't care. I don't care how far we have to drive. I don't care where we have to go. The show's going to look different next week. It's going to be warm. It's going to be sunny, and we're going to be having a lot of fun outside somewhere fishing for something. I don't know what we're going to do or where we're going to go, but we're going to make it work because I have had enough of this latest polar vortex or whatever they're calling it this week. We're going to warm weather because it's not coming to us.
I agree with you. I know someone who's got a lot of vacation coming up, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting in the boat and getting the long rods back out.
Sounds
Should
good.
Be a good time.
Well, who said anything about long rods? You know how far we're gonna have to drive to get a boat wet? A long ways, but it's not a bad idea.
Motivation.
Not a bad idea. I'm game. We just got to find a place to do it. So next week, I have no idea where we're going, but it's going to look completely different. We're going to be trying to outrun a suntan. How about that? Ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, man.
For more info on the latest fish reports, gear recommendations, and hottest techniques, connect with us online at indepthoutdoors.com or follow us on Facebook at In Depth Outdoors. And if you enjoyed today's show, be sure to let our sponsors know.